if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
Ontario, New York Summer Fun Station, Yes FM, Fun, Janelle Monáe, 845. St. Lawrence Shakespeare Festival is going on, and the ghost of Hamlet's father, Alan Price, is here. Hi, Alan.
Hi.
Now, you've been doing theater for how long now?
Well, I started in university, so it's about 45 to 46, 7 years. So,
really?
Yeah. I had a long time in the middle that I had to make a real living. And so I got out of acting for quite a long time as my kids were growing up. And but I loved it so much and I missed it so much that I gave up a regular paycheck to dive in again when I was in my late 40s. So
now, has your acting career been just theater?
No, I've done quite a bit of TV and film work. Nothing famous, but a lot of parts, and they come here and there, and they're great to have because and commercials, a lot of commercials, and a lot of money in that. But theater is what I really love. So.
How do you go about finding work in theater?
Some of it is through my agent who finds out about things, but a lot of it is our union, Equity, posts things online when there are auditions, and I've been lucky enough, as most actors do in Canada, to work in different parts of the country. And I'm based in Toronto. I was born in Toronto, and so it's home, and I would never think of leaving Toronto because family and friends are there. But I love working, particularly in places like Prescott, and Eric mentioned that he grew up not far from Prescott, and I actually worked in his hometown a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, in Perth, Ontario, which is about 45-minute drive from Prescott. So I've been in this part of the country a couple of times, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And as everyone has said, the people in the town are just so welcoming and so friendly. It's great.
Now, having been in theater for so many years, how is Prescott unique to you?
Well, it's the outdoor space is something quite astounding and amazing, and the amphitheater itself, it's not just an outdoor space. It's a beautiful space. It's right on the river. The other play that we're doing, Made for a Musket, has a historical context, and when I first read it, there's reference to people coming down the river from Montreal, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to actually have actors in boats, and they're going to be shouting their lines from the river, but which is not the case. But and Ogdensburg plays a very prominent part in that other play. Ogdensburg is seriously not mentioned in Hamlet, I don't think, but in the other play it is. Yes.
Now, what kind of character do you play? You're a ghost.
Well, I'm a ghost, which has its unique kind of challenges because. When I first started reading it, and by the way, this is, although I've had a very, very long career, this is my first time doing Shakespeare. So I had trepidations about it. I have lots of experience as an actor, but approaching Shakespeare is something new and different for me. But thinking about the ghost, and I watched a lot of videos, a lot of different productions of Hamlet, excuse me, in my preparation, and I saw a lot of different interpretations, as every role is interpreted differently. But I kind of thought, well, is he ethereal? Does he have a ghostly voice? And I think with Rona and working and on it, we've actually come to see him, I have anyways, as a real person. He's happens to be in a ghostly state, but there's a real relationship with his son, and a very touching and close relationship, and with his wife, who is now the wife of his brother. And that's and I don't like my brother very much either, but that's but so that was easy, that part. But he's a real person, so I've tried to approach it as not playing a ghost, but as playing a father who is talking to his son, and that grounded it for me. But it was interesting for me in first reading, when I started preparing for it and started working on it. Actually, a very funny thing happened. I was, and when you first read Shakespeare, it's difficult. It's really tough. The language is, it's different. It's like a foreign language in a lot of ways, but it's not. It's even though some words are not familiar, the real difference that I found was just the difference in the sort of the syntax or the grammatical formation of the sentences. The verbs and the adjectives are sort of backwards to the way we normally speak. But once you get that, right, it's easy to understand. And I was lying in bed one night in Toronto before I came, and my wife is really very helpful to me in learning lines. So I was working on the ghost's first speech, and it's like a 3-page speech. And as I was reading it, I just, quite innocently and totally believably, I turned to my wife and I said, "He's a really good writer." like oh duh. But he is. That's why he exists for so many centuries, that he writes just magnificently, and you don't really understand it as well, at least I didn't, until I really got into learning it and appreciating it as much as I do now. So I'm dying to do Shakespeare from now on. That's all I wanted.
If you could meet Shakespeare and ask him one question, what would you ask him?
Oh my God.
What would you want to know? One thing.
Gee, that's a toughie. I'd want to know, how come there's no really great dance routines in your shows? I don't know.
Okay.
But thank you for that, because I don't dance very well, so I'm happy with that. I don't know. It's a question that's a great question. I don't have a really good answer.
Show times are what?
2 p.m. for the matinees, which are Wednesdays and Saturdays. Okay. 7 p.m. for the evening shows, which are Tuesday to Saturday night. We alternate between Made for a Musket, and Hamlet. Mm-hmm. So you really have to kind of check the schedule if you want to specifically see Hamlet or specifically see the other show. But come and see both, because they're both great. We opened Made for a Musket on Saturday. Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic success. Audience loved it, laughed hysterically. They won't laugh as much in Hamlet, but they'll have just as good a time.
More info online too, stlawrenceshakespeare.ca. Thanks, guys, for coming in today.
Hey.
All right, 8:52 at Yes FM, Maroon 5, and Love Somebody on Yes FM.
Like this.
96.7 Yes FM.